What's up, everybody? Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. I'm Noah Strackbine here every single Monday through Friday. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalk or anywhere you get your podcasts. And today we're talking about an observation that seems to be under the radar a little bit. The Pittsburgh Steelers have two quality edge rushers. Heck, they have the best edge rusher in football. And then they have Alex Highsmith, who's a young, developing, strong, upcoming talent. But they don't really have anybody behind them. Right now, through minicamp and OTAs, Tuzar Skipper looks like the best third option for the Steelers. And all due respect to the guy who put on a preseason show 3 years ago, sparked so much love from the fans, and left nobody hoping he didn't make the roster. And when he didn't make it, everybody was stunned. And when that turned into nothing in the next 2 years, 3 years for Tuzar Skipper, people were more shocked. But he's not a quality third option right now. And yes, Gerard Avery is there, but he isn't practicing, and we don't know what to expect when he is on the field. He's also a guy who's a tweener. He plays inside linebacker, he plays outside linebacker, and truthfully, that's not somebody that you should rely on every single time you need somebody to go out there. And on top of everything, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers learned from last year that they can't go into this expecting nobody to be injured. People get hurt. People want trades. After Melvin Ingram left, the Pittsburgh Steelers were left with literally nothing. Working with Taco Charlton, who tried so hard to revive his NFL career. Derek Tushka, who has done nothing to impress anybody. And while those are guys that deserve shots in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers need somebody to say, okay, you are our quality backup, and if somebody goes down, we still have enough depth to replace you, them, or whoever else. So who are the Steelers' best options? It starts with Takkarist McKinley. A little stint in Cleveland didn't really hurt his career, but an Achilles injury most certainly did. He's dealing with injury after injury after injury the last couple of years, and that's the biggest thing that you have to worry about when you're talking about this 26-year-old. That being said, he hasn't really done much to say, I'm a proven guy in the NFL. So you're taking a shot and you're taking a risk on somebody who doesn't have the track record, who has a long list of injuries, and who's coming off a serious injury last season, just in December alone. It's iffy, and it's certainly a risk. But it's a risk with upside. He's 26 years old. He has proven at one point or another that he has potential in the NFL. He's a former first-round pick, and he's not a former first-round pick like Taco Charlton was, where everybody took a leap of faith on a guy just because of his physicality, just because of how he looked. Takkarist McKinley was a guy that everybody said this guy was going to be a monster. And I think last year in Cleveland, there were bits and pieces where he showed I could be a reliable piece to a defense. I could add quality depth to a defense. I don't think he's somebody that goes out there every single play and makes a play. I don't think that he's somebody that goes out there every single game and makes a play. But I do believe that he's a guy who could bring quality backup depth in a small role. That's really all the Steelers are looking for. Next is Anthony Barr. And Anthony Barr remains on my list, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He's a guy who has starting experience after starting experience after starting experience. He's a guy that could play inside and outside. And truthfully, I think he's the best option outside of this next guy to play that role that they wanted Melvin Ingram to play last season. That third outside linebacker who could work his way down the defensive line and fill whatever gap they need him to fill. That's who Anthony Barr could play. He's coming off of an 11-start season for the Minnesota Vikings last year, 72 tackles. He's only 30 years old, and I get only 30 years old is not only 30 years old. But for this list, this late in the offseason, he's an option, and he's somebody that you're kind of surprised is still on the market. Anthony Barr is a dude who fits immediately, who comes into Pittsburgh and says, hey, I can play football Wherever you need me to play football, I can add quality reps. Wherever you need me to add quality reps, hopefully he's not looking for a major role. But truthfully, if you're signing this late in the offseason, you can't be expecting much. The Steelers could certainly use him as a guy to play a role position on their defense pretty much everywhere. And on top of that, if Buddy Johnson doesn't work out as that third inside linebacker, Anthony Barr is the answer. He's just a guy who could play across the board, across the front seven. And he can't play on the defensive line, but he can fill a gap. He can rush a gap anywhere. Quality piece for the Pittsburgh Steelers to look for. Next, this is where things get interesting. Justin Houston spent last season with the Baltimore Ravens, coming off a 4.5 sack season. Started all year for Baltimore. Still believes that he is a quality, proven starter in the NFL, and truthfully, he probably is. He's a guy, your biggest worry would be what role he wants to play. He's a guy where you're going to have to have a serious conversation with him and say, hey, look at dude, you're only going to play this many snaps. You're only going to fill this kind of role, and see if he's happy with it. Because in his head, he wants to start 17 games for whatever team he signs for. That's what every NFL player should do. I get that. He has the track record, the durability, the provenness to say, yep, nope, I could do it, though. I don't care if I'm 33 years old. I could do it. That's okay for me. The Steelers don't need that. What they do need is somebody who could come in here and dominate a line. And he can certainly do that. Of all the options, again, outside of this next guy, Justin Houston's a guy that will force an offense to not take any attention away from him. Right now, if Alex Highsmith is off the field, a team could double team TJ Watt with ease. Do not have to worry about who's on the other side of that offensive line at all. If Justin Houston's out there, you got to think about that. You can't just say, oh, okay, well, we'll just let him get to the quarterback. That can't happen. The Pittsburgh Steelers would have 3 guys on top of Avery who could play quality reps, give you quality minutes, and force a defense to remain locked in on whatever side of the ball they're on. Justin Houston's a dude who's been dominating the NFL for a long, long time. That's not going to change, I don't believe, this season. I think whoever does sign him is looking for a piece to play a decent amount of reps every game. I think the Steelers could be that team. They're going to have a conversation with them. They're going to have to let him know, hey, look, you're only getting 15 snaps, 20 snaps a game. If you can make the most out of that and you feel that's where you want to be right now, that's fine. If that's where he does want to be, Pittsburgh is the best option for him. Bar none. Bar none. And finally, Carlos Dunlap. I still remember sitting across from Mike Tomlin as he said, yeah, we do not miss Carlos Dunlap when playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Nobody should miss Carlos Dunlap. Carlos Dunlap caused a lot of issues for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it would be so bittersweet for every Carlos Dunlap fan to see him go out on top with the Pittsburgh Steelers, to go out with a great, great season at 33 years old and then decide his future from there. Maybe it's not what Cincinnati Bengals fans want. Maybe it's not what the rest of the AFC North wants. I'm sure it's not what the rest of the AFC North or the Cincinnati Bengals want. But if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you're Mike Tomlin and you're sitting there and somebody says, yo, what about Carlos Dunlap? You want to go get him? You know that his answer is going to be yes. You know that it's going to take no time for him to say, yeah, go get Carlos Dunlap. And it's not as if he's slowing down. He's 33 years old and coming off an 8.5 sack season. That's not slowing down. He's a guy who has only made 2 Pro Bowls in his career, and that blows my mind. Carlos Dunlap is an absolute force in the NFL, and will remain a force in the NFL for probably at least the next year, but it's not unlikely to say for 2 or 3 more years. The dude is a monster. The dude is easily on the top of everybody's list. including the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the best fit for this team. He's somebody who could play down the entire defensive line again, and this time can play rush in a gap, or if you need him to play defensive end, he could play defensive end. The Steelers and the AFC North tend to have this thing where if somebody leaves one team and they go to the next, it's like shocking, but at the same time, it's like you have so much respect for that organization that it's okay because they get what you're capable of and you get what they're capable of. We all know that Mike Tomlin's sitting there going, I know exactly what Carlos Dunlap can do. And we also all know that Carlos Dunlap is sitting there going, I know exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers defense and Mike Tomlin are capable of. It's a match made in heaven. It is the perfect option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's somebody who's coming off a season where he started every game. The year before he started every game. Last year he played every game, started 2, I believe. And could come in here, and if the Steelers need somebody to start in an emergency situation, he's easily the answer. And if he plays a role position, he's coming off of 8 sacks in a role position. So he's obviously going to add whatever boost you need with him on the field. Carlos Dunlap's easily the answer. But all 4 of these guys could easily be the answer. Really, the biggest thing is that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to identify the veteran they would like and say, we need more depth at outside linebacker. Because one guy and Tuzar Skipper is not going to cut it.